Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Higher or Lower. I'm your host George Ellick. I'm with Jack Wright and Dan Worth. This show is brought to you by Sporting Index, SHREDS and oddschecker, and we look ahead to the weekend's football and say if we think the spread betting market midpoint will end up being higher or lower than the result, or vice versa, I think. Well, something like that anyway. How are you guys doing?
Very well, thanks, George. How are you?
Just been hearing about your match day rituals.
Absolutely, yeah. Quick jog.
Higher or lower than 2.5 pints of Guinness? We all know the answer to that.
It's very low line.
That sounds like a profitable market.
That's absolutely my strongest bet of the weekend.
We did all right last weekend, didn't we?
Yeah, all in all. The goal minutes.
Did you enjoy the start of Ruben Amorim's
electric?
No, I didn't.
Manchester United's career?
You guys did.
Utopia, as
yeah. Well, I mean, ridiculous commentary, really.
Well, you know, it was utopian for a second for United fans.
For about 80 seconds, and then.
Yeah, I think there's something quite cool about a new manager coming into a club who are massively underachieving and scoring within 2 minutes, and the goal scorer being someone who is like the poster boy for the bad times at the club. What?
No, I'm not a Rashford fan.
You're not?
No.
What, as a man or a footballer?
I'm talking purely football. I don't know him as a man.
Well, as a man, you know, he's done a lot of good things.
He has done a lot of good things, yeah, indeed.
Which some people seem to take offence about.
I find him incredibly lazy on the football field, and football field on the pitch.
Yeah.
And I just feel that he's. I don't know. We'll start with a debate here, but I think you look at modern day football.
To the debate.
Yeah, you look at modern day football and the energy and the intensity, and I actually watch him for a fair bit on Sunday, just ambling about, and like there's
Isn't there? This is something that always gets my goat a little bit, where like you don't always want players like Rashford to be running loads out of possession. Like if you want to obviously employ like a really high press, but I would say with him, you're like keep your sprints down, Marcus. Let's keep you explosive, and then when you do have the moment to go, you're not knackered.
Yeah, I'm just not seeing many moments.
You're in the sidelines saying,
"Run!" Not necessarily, but he's in that position where there was no pressure at all at the top end, and I think that was just detrimental to the setup and the side. And also, sometimes there's a ball that's played, and he just like, whoa. He just. I know it's his kind of language style, body language is a little bit kind of that way anyway, isn't it? But I just frustrating.
You're not having him.
Yeah. No.
Well, I'm not having you.
Okay, that's fair.
Team Marcus. Right, let's look into the weekend's games. We're starting with Brighton versus Southampton, a South Coast affair. SHREDS have the total goal line here, so the total number of goals scored within the game. 3.4 to sell and 3.6 to buy. So the midpoint is 3.5. Are we going higher? Or are we going lower? 3, 2, 1. Oh, Dan, what are you doing? Have you not learned? Last week you went lower for all the things you normally go higher on. You did your money.
Yeah, well, no,
you did your points.
Yeah. It's the goal minutes markets that I'm struggling with this season, which, we've got one coming up. But I'm pretty sure I was on the money with the lower on the total goals, and the Chelsea game was a similar line, right? I don't know if this will be a similar game to that Chelsea one, but I think a lot of people, when you say the word Brighton, think goals. Not necessarily incorrect, but a lot of the time there are just 3 goals in Brighton.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of goals.
So but that's a 0.5 of profit if there are 3 goals here.
But it's an interesting question there, because do you think if a team is consistently having 3 goals in their games, which is quite a lot of goals to average, does that mean that they're an under bet when the goal line is 3.5?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because you're not therefore kind of taking 0 and 1 out of the equation.
Yeah.
Do you want to change it?
No, I'm pretty happy, particularly because I'm clearly agreeing with you 2 SHREDS.
Thank you.
That's a great place for me to be. Southampton as well. Okay, they scored a couple of goals against the best team in the league at the weekend, but they failed to score in their last 2 away games.
Best team in Europe, if you believe Jude Bellingham.
Best team in the world?
Yeah, you have to be right if you're the best team in Europe.
Do you know much about Corinthians?
I mean, I would back Liverpool to beat them.
Yeah.
Especially right now. I've kind of lost track. I'm basically saying...
They scored 2 goals against Liverpool.
Yeah.
And that's why you're going under. Amazing. Jack, have you got? Can you possibly follow that?
It's tough, but I'm going to try. I just feel this line, you are relying on Brighton to do a lot of the heavy lifting as far as the goals total is concerned, especially when you consider Southampton have only scored 3 goals away from home. They are particularly turgid away. No points. I say only 3 goals scored. Yes, they've conceded a few, but I just feel that Brighton have been a little bit overachieving. You said there have been quite a few goals in their games, but they're unlike Brighton. A couple of seasons ago, we were talking about them being those underachievers of expected goals, and that they were kind of the data darlings, as I think you dubbed them. And this season, it's reversed. They're actually scoring more than they're expected to. So you look at their home games; they did draw 0-0 with Ipswich, which possibly would ring alarm bells for people that wanted to go higher in this one. They have played a lot of attacking teams as well. Bournemouth, Man City, Liverpool, Spurs, Chelsea. So that, I think, has helped push those numbers up. And I just feel Southampton are just very blunt as far as... They did score a couple, but one was effectively a penalty. Very good counter-attacking goal as far as the second one was concerned. But, yeah, I just feel that they'll be a little bit blunt here, and I'm happy to go lower. I can't see there being 4 or more goals in this.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this kind of comes down to if you want a high-scoring game, you want to be looking for probably both teams carrying a big attacking threat. And Saints have only scored 3 away goals all season, and those came in 3 separate games. So they're yet to score over 1.5 goals in a game. So, yeah, for me, this is a game that Brighton should be looking to win fairly comfortably. It wouldn't surprise me if they keep a clean sheet in doing so, even if their games have been relatively high-scoring so far. I think that's basically the reason why we're getting quite a high line. And I basically think, unlike you, Dan, everything's a runner here, where it wouldn't surprise me if Brighton kind of edge just 1-1-0. I think Southampton will probably have some difficulty getting ahead. I do feel for Saints fans. Like, what a shocking time they're having of it at the moment. Like, it feels like they've had more bad beats than me this season, which is saying something. But
I was thinking about this earlier. I was just thinking that they find a way to lose.
Yeah.
They find a way to, like, McCarthy going AWOL really for Salah's goal, penalty conceded. And like, even missing a penalty, like they scored the rebound.
Well, and even the United game as well, they lost 3-0, but they were the better team early on and missed a penalty early. 0-0. The Leicester game, 2 up, and they end up losing it 3-2 after the red card. Like, it's absolutely mad the way they've like transpired to drop points this season. The Liverpool one obviously being the latest within that. But I find it very hard to work out why I would throw my weight behind them here. To the Championship for our second game. This is the early kickoff on Saturday. Watford hosting QPR. Watford fresh off a 1-0 win over Bristol City in midweek at home. QPR positively buoyant after a 2-0 win away at Cardiff on Wednesday night. This is the supremacy market, so the total goals by which the favourite will beat the underdog. 0.6 to sell, 0.8 to buy, 0.7 is the midpoint. So higher would be a Watford win, lower a QPR win, or a draw. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I'm surprising myself here because in the whole of the EFL, Watford are the team that I find the hardest to really work out at the moment, where sometimes they're good. They were pretty good against against Argyle on Friday night. Again, they drew 2-2 in. They're pretty good when I went to go and see them the other day, beat my team. Oxford, 1-0. They weren't very good in midweek. Like, I backed Bristol City to beat them in midweek, and
they should have done.
Well, I mean, I backed them draw no bet, and the way that the fact they didn't manage to get anything out of the game is absolutely crazy. Watford were, it was by no means like a domination from Bristol City, but Watford carried very little attacking threat. The goal they scored from Ryan Andrews was a cracker, like a long range straight into the bottom left hand corner, but they were second best on the night. However, QPR, I think the result on Wednesday night is a bit of a red herring. Again, they weren't the better team at Cardiff. Zan Salah scoring 2 goals is massive for him. But in Georgie Chakvetadze, I think Watford have one of the best players in the whole league, and a player who in these kind of games against the poorer teams in the division is able to completely dominate. And they have unbeaten run at home extends, I don't know the exact number, but it's a long one. Tom Cleverley yet to lose at home as Watford manager, and I think they should have enough quality to see them off. So it's kind of a reluctant one, but one nonetheless. Jack, how do you see it?
That's very funny because I had a wonder if you were going to actually go against Watford here, because I was tempted to.
Yeah.
but I couldn't bring myself to do it because it's QPR. Like, am I surprised by Watford this season? Yes, I am. I have them up in 5th place. Am I convinced by them? No, I'm not. Can I go against them with QPR? No, I can't. So that's where I'm at. So no team's picked up more points at home than Watford this season. Up there with the heavy hitters like Leeds. Won 7 of 8 league games at home, 9 of 10 in all competitions. They've won their last 3 1-0, which I think is quite crucial. They're kind of keeping it tight and therefore not needing a lot to then go and get a win against the QPR side that has completely struggled. And as I said, has been a sort of bit of a target, I think, as far as the downward spiral with QPR this season. So yeah, massive for him to get off the mark at least. But 13 games winless until last night, wasn't it, as well? So their first away goal since September, that was. So 4 blanks until last night. So also, I think, away at Cardiff, it's a long trip. And the day after Watford had played, to then come back and then have an early game on Saturday, that's quite a tough ask. So, yeah, there's not going to be a lot of rotation there. And, I think Watford won both games last season. And I'd say that QPR were probably stronger last season and Watford were weaker. So, yeah, nothing to suggest that I can't not go with a high here.
Dan?
Yeah, Watford did win both fixtures last season, including beating them 4-0 at home.
It was 4-0.
So something similar to that would be quite nice
with
for us.
Handy.
I don't really have much to add, aside from obviously you both mentioned the home form has been very good for Watford. They've only conceded 4 goals at home this season, which I think is...
When you see them away, they're one of those sides that you just go... Home form, away form.
Yeah.
Jekyll and Hyde.
That's not going to be the only time we hear those words on this show today.
Ooh, hello.
Just a little.
You tease.
Oh no, such a tease.
Done.
That's it.
That's it.
He's ended on that note. Why not?
Okay. Nothing more to say.
Nothing to say at all.
All right. West Ham Arsenal in an all-London clash. Total goal minutes is the market we're looking at here. Total cumulative minutes the goals are scored within the game. 152 is the midpoint. So not a particularly high line, I would say. Are we going higher or lower? This is the Sporting Index, the line. 3, 2, 1. Oh, no,
we're all
lads.
the same. I was really excited to go higher again.
Right.
Just to change it all up, do you know what I mean?
Daniel?
Well, I just think Arsenal are back.
Yeah?
Oh.
Well, Odegaard is back and Arsenal are looking much better for it. And I genuinely think Arsenal rip West Ham to shreds here.
Ooh.
We've seen it already, his influence. 3-0 against Forest, 5-1 against a solid Sporting side that obviously recently beat Man City, who, you know, whatever, they are still a very good team despite their poor form of late. Arsenal won 6-0 at West Ham last season, and that made up 290, which... If we're anywhere near that, is a huge win here. Obviously, West Ham did get a nice win over Newcastle. Bit of a strange game. But they are, all over the place this season. And I think Arsenal will be way too strong. And will score multiple times. So I'm also sort of suggesting it doesn't really matter whether West Ham come to the party, because I think Arsenal can probably do this all on their own.
Great stuff. Jack?
Yeah, much the same, really. Odegaard's obviously made a big difference. It's also been good for Arsenal having Gabriel and Saliba back with that defence, but Gabriel was taken off injured at the back end of that Sporting game, so that would potentially give us even more of an advantage in this line if he wasn't able to take part in this one. So that's something to keep an eye on. And yeah, West Ham proper shocked me against Newcastle. I expected that to be a pretty comfortable Newcastle win, a bit like Theo Walcott, really, to be fair. But just kind of pass. How much of that was Newcastle being really poor and disappointing, and how much was it West Ham being good? Probably somewhere in the middle. But they did impress me a bit, to be fair, as far as they seemed to get a little bit of confidence, didn't they, during the course of the game? Going, actually, this is going quite well. And you could tell it meant a lot to Lopetegui. So yeah, it's. I think Arsenal do look that potent going forward, and that could be enough to get this line covered. It is relatively low, and say whatever way round this game goes, I think there's the potential for late goals. So I'm happy to go higher than 152.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like it kind of took me by surprise researching for this how we've seen West Ham keep 2 consecutive clean sheets in their last 2 games, but prior to that, the games going both ways were 4-1, 4-1, 2-1, 3-0. So we haven't necessarily seen that kind of Lopetegui defensive mindset really come to the fore. And I find it very hard to believe that West Ham will keep Arsenal completely at bay. But it does kind of help their cause that they've won 3 of their last 6 games, scoring quite a few goals in the process. So they should carry an attacking threat themselves. And even if it is tight to start with, it feels to me like a game where, as you say, late goals will likely come if there are to be any at all. And Arsenal's improvement, Saka's return to form and fitness plays a big part in that too. Odegaard looking really sharp since he's come back as well. So, with Arsenal playing catch up too, it's hard to really see them being complacent and not looking to really press on. So we all agree again. Bit of a shame. 2 more games to cover. First up, we have Chelsea hosting Aston Villa. Villa feel frustrated that goal disallowed on Wednesday night against Juventus, preventing them from a famous victory at Villa Park. Chelsea, at time of recording, we don't know what happens to them.
No.
But crucially, really. Well, is it irrelevant?
Yeah.
They're playing on Thursday night?
Yeah.
Is that away from home?
Yes.
Is that irrelevant?
Yes.
I thought you think it's important, travelling.
Not with Chelsea.
Not with Chelsea?
No.
Squad's so big.
Yeah. Different sides.
Yeah, basically. But they still travel, don't they?
Well, Cole Palmer won't be. He'll be home with his new girlfriend, won't he? Yeah.
He's got a new girlfriend?
Yeah.
Who's that?
I don't know her name. I'm not that like on trends, but it's
good for him.
Obviously, social media.
He's progressing up the New Star Soccer kind of, Right. First Chelsea goal with Sporting Index. 39 to sell, 42 to buy, so 40.5 is the midpoint. Lower here means you think Chelsea will score within the first 40 minutes. Higher means they wouldn't have scored after 40 minutes. 3, 2, 1. I blame the.
Who wrote these markets?
It was me.
Well, then you can.
It was me. I can go. Yeah. Chelsea's average time of first goal scored in the Premier League this season is under 40.5. That is my rationale. No, obviously that does help, and Villa's average time of conceding is also under 40.5 at 36-minute average. Also helps. But Villa have conceded quite a lot of times on the road in the Premier League this season, 11 times. Only Southampton, Ipswich, Leicester and Wolves, arguably the 4 worst teams in the league, have conceded more. So I think Chelsea at home can definitely cause them problems. I think they'll score at least once, and I think it'll be early. Jackson, we've spoken about Jackson a fair bit over the 2 seasons that we've had. He looks unreal, right? And quite interesting. There was times last season where
not me.
No, but
not me.
Him and Darwin Núñez were sort of banded around in the same conversation of chaotic players who get chances and miss them. Look at them now. Jackson's scoring all the chances. Núñez still not quite there. I wanted to ask you, George, who would you rather if you were the manager?
I mean, football's fluid, and right now I'd obviously want Jackson. Having said that, I think Darwin Núñez has probably a higher ceiling long term. But yeah, Jackson's a better player at the moment for sure.
That's interesting. I don't disagree. I just hadn't thought of it as the ceiling. But you're a beacon of knowledge, so I appreciate it.
Cheers. Thank you.
Chelsea score early. Maybe Jackson. Maybe Palmer. Maybe anyone else that plays for Chelsea. Don't care. Lower.
Yeah, I totally agree. It just, Villa's defensive record at the moment isn't great, despite a good showing in midweek. They're conceding 2 against Palace, 2 against Liverpool, 4 against Spurs. They've only kept 1 clean sheet this season, which came against United, who aren't the best from an attacking standpoint. Chelsea at home, despite, as we mentioned, a massive game for Villa on Wednesday night. For Chelsea, it's not really the same case, is it? So, even though they've had an extra day's rest for Villa, I still expect Chelsea to come into this bang at it. Right, on to the biggest game of the... Have you forgotten you? Yeah. Oh, Jack.
Yeah.
You go. I just didn't think there was anything left to say.
There's not much to add, is there, really, to be perfectly honest?
There's nothing left
and you
to
knew
say.
that. And you knew that. The only thing I would say...
Here we go.
Yeah, I can think of something.
Go on, off the top of your head.
Yeah, off the top of my head.
You're a
pro. Yeah. I'm a pro. You're a pro.
Thank you.
Is Villa 7 games without a win now, but I think one of the things that I've looked at last season, if you remember rightly, we talked about the Villa offside trap, which is the key element of their defence. And this season it's just not been firing, so therefore they are getting exposed a lot more, hence why they are conceding quite regularly.
Yeah.
Do you know how many times they caught Chelsea offside in this game last season?
5.
Double that.
10.
10 times, yeah.
Wow.
Goodness gracious me.
So far this season, in 6 away games, the total is 9 for the teams that have played, and the last couple was 0-1 against Tottenham and Liverpool. So
wow,
you feel that sides have made a beeline for trying to work out how they can get at Villa and avoid getting that offside trap. And let's say you've got Chelsea players there. There's a lot of players that are able to time their runs and get through in behind and cause some chaos there. So I think an early goal, say especially with Villa having that tough game against Juventus, was the key point. But that I think could be a key factor in this one.
You done?
I'm done now.
Thanks
for that. Thanks for involving me. Cheers.
Yeah.
Nice to be here.
Finally, looking at Liverpool against Manchester City, huge game.
Huge.
I mean, I cannot believe what City have done in midweek. Like
It's so out of character, right? Like the defeats prior to that are out of character, obviously, but not anywhere near as ridiculous as throwing away a 3-goal lead for Man City.
mad. I think I saw it was no team has ever thrown away a 3-goal lead that late into a game in Champions League history.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. They're not used to setting negative records, are they?
It is unbelievable what's going on there, and what a time for Liverpool to play them. Liverpool, as we say, top of the Premier League, odds-on favourites to win the Premier League, top of the Champions League. Just Arne Slot is doing, Jurgen Klopp's stock is dropping. No, it's not. Goals cubed is the mark we're looking at here. This is the total goals in the game multiplied by itself 3 times. So again, 1 is 1, 2 is 8, 3 is 27, 4 is 64, 5 is 125, 6 is 260?
Yeah.
Something like that. And then so on and so forth. So you basically, 66 the midpoint here, you need 4 goals to just about break even. 5 goals for a big profit, and things can get messy. So please ensure you are staking appropriately. Also, if you haven't got a SHREDS account or a SportsTeamX account, you can find the link in the description of the show. A new customer offer is there. T's and C's to apply. Remember that losses can exceed your initial deposit. Goals cubed, eh? Right, Liverpool City. Liverpool fresh off a game that saw a lot of goals against Saints. Would have made up 125. City against Feyenoord would have made up 216.
Yeah. And against Tottenham would have been 64.
Yeah, loss. 3, 2, 1.
God, we need to sack the person that wrote these.
No, I don't know. Well, we've been
Jack?
saying that for a while now.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes. I've got no opinion on this game at all. No, it's like 5 goals to make profit on this one. I just don't see it. So obviously things just keep getting better and better for Liverpool. 8 points clear at the top of the table this early in the season is mad. 100% Champions League record, 12 goals scored, 1 goal conceded, and that probably sums them up at the moment. That they're not smashing teams, as we've talked about in the past. We kind of mention this most times when we talk about Liverpool, that they've now changed from that kind of gung-ho style where they'll win a game 4-2, 5-3, to winning it 2-0 seems to be the bit of a default, as was the case last night, admittedly with 2 missed penalties, believe it or not, in the same game against Real Madrid. But Jude Bellingham did say they're now the best side in Europe and that they wanted it more than Real Madrid. So they're going to see this as a massive opportunity to... Would it put Man City out of the title race, going 11 points behind Liverpool this early?
I don't think you can rule things out, can you? But it certainly wouldn't do them, their hopes any good, would it?
It'd be interesting to see where we'd have gone with this with the supremacy market as well. Like, Liverpool are favourites for it, aren't they?
Yeah.
And, which is quite unusual. But we've gone with it. We'll have to see on that one. But I think the difference between these two sides at the minute is epitomised by the 2 managers. Arne Slot just seems so composed, so cool, loving it, smiling away, isn't he? He's having a great time, and he's batting back questions about Salah and making a bit of a joke of it. Whereas Pep is just in disarray, and I think that is a perfect reflection of both these sides at the moment. So often close, very tight fixtures, relatively low scoring, and I think this one has the makings of a Liverpool controlled victory as well. Again, as I said, we need 5 goals for this to be higher. So having 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4 in our pocket here just makes sense to me to go lower.
Absolutely.
Dan?
Yeah, it's exactly the same. No, it was obviously 1-1 both times last season, so that would be a big winner here. City are surely coming into this game thinking we really can't afford to lose this.
Yeah.
Like, because 11 points adrift is wild. And I'm kind of with you. Like, I don't think that means you can write them off, but like they're not far from write off. I'd say at 11. So I think this will be pretty cagey. And although Liverpool are fantastic this season and great going forward, I don't know. I guess I don't really want to say they won't score 4 goals because Tottenham just did it, but I don't know. I think it will be a different game to that, and I think it will be much tighter. So I've gone low.
Every single Liverpool game this season, home game this season, has gone well under this line. Every single one.
I think it's really tempting to go higher here just because the way that City are right now, how much they're lacking confidence defensively, how much of an impact Rodri's exclusion from the team has been. Like, it's an awkward one to go lower because I do think if there's an early goal, things could really kind of spiral. And I probably wouldn't be bet. Well, I definitely wouldn't be betting this myself. However, so often these games are cagey. Like, so often when it's a game between two sides who have title aspirations, there's so much on the line that it just doesn't really live up to the billing. And, you know, as you say, if City lose this game, their title hopes are really done a massive blow. For Liverpool, given they've already got that big gap to City already, it's not a must-win game by any stretch. You know, keeping the status quo is fine. And as the game goes on, I just think both teams would probably A, settle for continuing to be a draw, or B, if they go ahead, be like, right, let's cling on to this rather than exactly, especially because we've seen Liverpool do that a lot this season already. So yeah, I'm don't love it, but I'm going lower.
If City do lose this one as well, do you think there's a scenario, maybe not straight after this one, but I don't even know who they've actually got after Liverpool, but say this run continued for another 2-3 games, do you think there's an element, I know he's just signed a new contract, that Pep would go and walk away from it?
I don't think so. I think he'll be so confident that he can turn it around that he would hate his legacy to be tarnished by basically leaving a job in this stage.
Yeah. I get it. And by all accounts, he's been given the remit to rebuild, hasn't he, in the summer? But he's looking under severe pressure at the moment.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Nap time. Dan's favourite time of the day.
It is.
What is your best bet of the weekend?
This is not my favourite one this season, but I think it's still a pretty strong bet. I am buying Brentford supremacy over Leicester at 0.9 midpoint.
Ruud van Nistelrooy's Leicester.
Well, is that confirmed?
Seemingly.
Said
to be.
But it's getting close to the weekend, and he's probably not going to have much chance to even speak to any of those players.
Are they back from their Christmas party yet, Leicester?
Yeah, goodness me. Not much profit here if Leicester? Yeah. I mean, there's no profit here if Leicester wins, so I don't know why I've written that. Not much profit here if Brentford win by a solitary goal, but I'm pretty convinced they will get the 3 points, and only needing them to win just felt like a bit
what
of a no-brainer.
What is the supremacy line?
0.9 midpoint.
Yeah.
So it is a 1 if you're buying, but we're not in this game. So
no, I know that the handicap is like fixed odds handicap is 1.75. So yeah.
So I'll be taking that. Brentford are one of 3 teams yet to be defeated at home in the Premier League, and have picked up more points at home.
Sounds about time they got beat, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
Very nearly got beat against Ipswich, didn't they, a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, but they didn't.
They didn't.
Which is incredible. They are chalk and cheese, home and away, but they're at home, so don't even need to pay any attention to the away form here. They've scored more home goals than any other team in the league with 18. In fact, 2 more goals than any other team, which is, wow, it's so impressive, isn't it? Leicester, no team have conceded more goals than Leicester on the road this season with 14. They're averaging conceding 1.8 XG per game. Could be 2 goals, if not more for Brentford. It just feels like a really good bet to me. So many question marks around how they'll set up. As you say, Van Nistelrooy, not going to have much time to implement anything. I don't know. I think it just looks, all signs point towards Brentford win, and that'll be enough for me to make profit.
Lovely stuff. Jack?
I've got a really simple one here. It's the Championship.
Yes! The greatest league in the world.
The greatest league in the world. Bar none.
Yeah, well, not League One.
I'd prefer to be in the Championship.
Yeah, it is nice up
Chances.
here. It is nice up here.
Chances.
It's Derby versus Sheffield Wednesday, Sunday game. I am going for Derby headed goal minutes.
Love it.
Midpoint is 15.5. As you can see, I've got thorough, extensive reasoning behind this.
Yeah.
It is basically because Derby have scored the most set-piece goals this season and Sheffield Wednesday have conceded the most set-piece goals this season as per WhoScored.com stats. And generally, if you're looking at set-piece goals, the majority are coming via the head. So, you know my style with this nap, I do tend to like to have low risk, high reward. Obviously, we know at this point in time the absolute worst case scenario would be 15 in the midpoint, 15.5 times your stake as a loss, but it's an open-ended profit scenario. So some late-headed goals would be a right touch.
A few late-headed goals would be nice. I'm looking at Friday night football. Should be a game full of intrigue between Sheffield United and Sunderland. I'm selling match performance at 88.
Are you?
Yeah. So match performance, I will run through the way that points are scored.
Please do.
15 points per goal, 3 points per corner, 5 points per yellow, 15 points per red, penalty awarded 10 points, final score 0-0, minus 25 points.
Oh,
So by selling, what I'm saying is I basically think nothing's going to happen.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the 0-0 is, as we've said before, the holy grail.
It's a live runner, that, isn't it?
Yes, these are two teams who are defensively really good, who don't concede many chances at all, who I would say, even though Sheffield United were very good at home in midweek beating Oxford 3-0, that was a more porous defence, especially with Oxford having about 5 players out. Sunderland, I don't think will give them that kind of change, but this is also a Sunderland side that just cannot stop drawing. We've seen them draw 0-0 in midweek against West Brom. We've seen them draw 0-0 against Preston and QPR. They've drawn their last 5 games consecutively. It feels like they're on one of those winning runs, so one of those unbeaten runs where they don't want to give it up, and therefore they're not being quite expansive. They've got a lot of players out injured. Sheffield United, on the other hand, have kept a clean sheet in every single one of their home games, apart from one against QPR back in August.
Nice.
So that is 6 home clean sheets in a row. I'm basically playing for the 0-0 here. Gavin Ward's the ref, which is a good appointment for this bet. He's not someone who necessarily looks to flash loads of cards. I think corners is a bit of a stab in the dark here. There's no reason to massively believe there would be few or loads. Sunderland had quite a lot against Baggies in midweek. That's a different test to this one. So I think this could be fairly cagey. As we said a second ago with Liverpool City, like when you've got two teams who both have aspirations of promotion, who are kind of vying and quite tight at the top, often both of them are pretty happy to get away without losing ground, and that could be the case here. So selling at 88 with 0-0 being the target, but we can still make a decent profit if there are just 1 or 2 goals in the game and not too much by way of cards and corners. Cheers, lads.
Cheers.
Nice one.
Thank you. Did you have a nice time?
Great time. Yeah.
Great. We'll be back again next week to preview the rest of to preview more Premier League and Championship football. In the meantime, make sure you do sign up for a new account if you haven't already got one with Sporty Index and or SPREDS. You can find the link in the show description. There is a new customer offer for you there too. Make sure you read the T's and C's and remember that losses can exceed your initial deposit when it comes to spread betting. Oddschecker have you covered for all of your fixed odds betting needs, and WhoScored.com can provide all the stats ammo that you could possibly want to inform your selections. We'll see you again next week. Enjoy the football, and please do ensure that you're gambling responsibly.